Just a little off foot, thinking he's going to go far post. Not strong enough with his right hand.
Whips that one in. Far post, almost made him ends, and they have. He has the hat-trick. The second in his career. The third of the night. The hat-trick hero.
Talked about you're not going to be able to sustain that kind of pressure.
To the corner. Goes towards the near post. And you're the angle, and what a goal! What a goal!
Hey everybody, this is Rev Brad, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I don't think I've ever done this before. I was looking ahead at the podcast schedule, and I've got this big gap for October 11th, and I was just thinking, what can I come up with? What can I say? What's going on? I mean, there's so much going on, but if you don't know, in the United States, I believe, October is Pastor Appreciation Month, or it's Ministry Appreciation Month, I think more largely. And as we've been going through this month, one thing we've been doing with Soccer Chaplains United is highlighting and featuring the different chaplains and people that work with our organization. And really, you know, some people are raising money through us, and they need support for the work that they're doing with their teams. Other people aren't. They're just, you know, part of our membership, part of our group. And but I wanted to take a minute, I think, and I don't even know how long this podcast is going to go today, but I just wanted to highlight the different chaplains and people working with Soccer Chaplains United, because I can't tell you, after doing this for 22 years as a volunteer chaplain, it's just a blessing to be able to work alongside some of these people. They give of their time, their effort, their energy. They take time away from family to serve the teams, the clubs, the organizations that they do. They contribute into the larger work of chaplaincy in the sport of soccer. And they're doing other things in the meantime. They have ministries, they have callings, they have work that they're doing besides. And I love to feature and honor and highlight people. And so what I wanted to do today is just take a little bit of time, work through each chaplain, and I'm going to be a little bit off the cuff here. You know, usually I think through pretty thoroughly what I want to say and write some things out. I'm going to avoid doing that today. I just want to be off the cuff and kind of spontaneous, which I know some of you are like, Brad, we know you. You're a 1 on the Enneagram. You're a planner. How are you doing this? Yeah, I'm going outside my zone here for sure. But I just want to talk through these people, the different places where I've been able to be with them, spend time with them, encourage them, coach them, learn from them, and maybe just share a little thing or two, and then just kind of move through our group. And in a way, I'm expressing my love and my thanks for them. And I hope you hear that. I hope you hear my heart for them. And each one, I know them a little bit differently to different levels and extents, but I just feel a deep kinship with each of them. And hopefully you get a little bit of that today as you listen through the podcast. And, you know, I don't know where you're at. I don't know how you listen or engage to our podcast. You know, maybe you're an athlete, coach, you're a staff member with one of these teams. I'm talking about your people, you know, I'm talking about your person. Maybe you're a supporter of the ministry. Maybe you're just like, what is a Soccer Chaplains United thing? What is this From the Touchline? Who is Rev Brad? And so maybe it's a little bit more introductory. There's some pieces on our website. There's some things in our app where you can meet and discover these chaplains. And I just encourage you to do that. There's ways to connect with them on social medias and other things if they have those things. And they just let you know who these people are. But I think they're pretty special people. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be working through our website, and our chaplains are kind of listed on our website, the front page. You can see their pictures there. And I'm just going to kind of work, sort of left to right. And the way that we organize them is we put those that are working in Major League Soccer, we put them first, and then if they're working in the women's NPSL, like we just kind of work down through the professional leagues, down into some of the folks that are doing some additional work for the ministry. Maybe they're on the sidelines for a minute with a team, or there's a life situation, career situation going on, which has them taking a little bit of a step back from direct ministry, and they're contributing in other ways, and I'll share a little bit more about that. But I just want to work through each chaplain, and so, you might be someone who listens to the podcast regularly, and you're like, hey, Rev Brad, thanks, but no thanks. I just want to encourage you, hang in there, listen, because these folks are tremendous friends of mine. Like, I wouldn't be afraid to call any of them friend. And we don't work on staff per se together, but we do. And I'd love to think that all these people were hand-selected by me. They weren't. We go through a pretty, I think, good process of interviewing people, and really as a board and the other chaplains that are part of the group, as we consider someone for candidacy and for chaplaincy, there's some people that weren't necessarily my initial first choice, and I don't even think that I get a choice, really. Like, it's a team collaborative effort sometimes, and I don't think I'll get into the details of those stories, but each of these folks has a unique way that they've come to Soccer Chaplains United, a unique way that they serve their people, and I just want to feature and highlight and praise them today. So let's begin. Chaplain Greg Joyner. So Greg comes to us. He is the chaplain of Nashville SC. Nashville, if you don't know by now, in Major League Soccer they've got a new stadium. They're one of the newer teams. They came out of the USL Championship, and Billy Cerveny did a great work to get chaplaincy going there. I'll talk about Billy in a little bit, but Greg has come now. Billy's done a handoff earlier this year, and Greg's come in to be the Nashville SC chaplain. Greg, what I love about him is that he played the game in college, University of Mobile. And this isn't true of all of our chaplains. In fact, I think it's a myth and a misnomer that, the best chaplains should have played soccer at like a high level, college level, or pros or semi-pro. I don't think that's necessarily true, but Greg brings this unique aspect to the game in that he has been in a pretty high level soccer locker room. And so, but God called him into some other things. And so, what I love is that Greg and his family really epitomize Nashville for me. And they are just, they're kind and generous. Greg's been so gracious to begin this work, kind of following in Billy's footsteps. He's taken this handoff, and he's just made Nashville SC his own. There's things that Greg enjoys doing that I think feed into and help his work. Mainly he works with Search Nashville. Search, if you don't know that group, they come alongside these groups of sort of professional, career professionals, professional men, and they have these conversations. And they talk about real life matters like faith issues, family issues, vocation issues, and just wherever they are. And Greg had served as a pastor for a number of years before he launched into Search. And I just want to encourage you to get to know Greg Joyner. And, it's exciting. Nashville, for me, I've got some significant relationships amongst the coaching and playing staff still. And they're kind of the team in the East that I love to follow and cheer for. And it just helps me to know that Greg being there is a representative, not of me, of course, but really of God. And in the people that I love, the relationships that I've had for a long time, Greg, I think, is a great fit. And he's someone that, following on from Billy, has just been a tremendous add-on to our team with Soccer Chaplains United. So Greg Joyner, I think he's a doctor. He's certainly a pastor. He's certainly a brother you have to get to know. Well, here's the next guy, Chaplain Ben Dudley. So Ben he's, I think, next to Ricardo, I'll talk about Ricardo later, is our longest serving tenured chaplain. He is a volunteer co-chaplain with the Portland Timbers in Major League Soccer. And, Ben is one of those guys. Ben's a brother, I'd say. He's we're the same age. So it's, it's like we're a brother from another mother in some ways. I have a distinct number of memories with Ben, and Ben's that guy that always gives me, the thing we have in common is Manchester United for sure, but Ben and I always give each other a little bit of grief. And but one special moment, one special memory that I can recall with Ben is he was new into the ministry, new and working with us back then we were called Cross Training Ministries, and Ben came out to Colorado for a retreat. And on that retreat, I had several people in the room, and we actually had a couple people who brought guitars up to this particular retreat, and we were just talking about life and ministry and other things. And Ben has his story of being in Waco and working with a church down there and going to Baylor University. He was part of a band, and but there was a period of time in which Ben kind of got away from music. And, we kind of ended this retreat, and Ben had picked up this guitar, and, just amazed me, at least, because I didn't know this when he had come out. But we were talking later, and I forget if it was like immediately after or maybe a few weeks, we were on a phone call, but he said something to me. He goes, "Hey, Brad, this retreat time was really awesome because I think I found the music again." He said something like that, or the notes that had gone silent for him in his life. There was a joy that I think came back, and it wasn't just about picking up a guitar at our retreat, but I think through the work of working with the Timbers, being kind of connected into our group, our friendship, our kinship, and that's seen me go to Portland a number of times and fly fish with Ben and spend time with Ben and his family, and there's just been some unique, special moments that we've shared and carried, and there's been some challenge too. Ben's one of those guys who keeps me on my toes and challenges me towards the way that I think about ministry, the way I think about doing things, and I've always appreciated that about him. At the end of the day, we love each other, but Ben won't be afraid to hold back. He'll give me a strong word if he feels like it's needed, and he invites me in too. He says, "Hey, can you give me some insight into this thing that I'm working through, that I'm trying to deal with too?" And so I really feel this special, unique connection to Ben. And we've been together on a panel before in Chicago at the United Soccer Coaches Convention, and we've been talking about kids and coaching kids and character kind of issues. Today, he's the executive director of Free Guitars for Kids, and so I think Ben is just really finding his rhythm, no pun intended. Well, maybe there is a pun intended, but I think he's really found his rhythm now, and he's one of those guys that you love being around. And so I love Ben Dudley. He's like a brother to me, and just want to encourage you that maybe you've got someone like a Ben who can be a challenger but also a supporter in the same breath. So let me talk next about Chaplain Troy Reedy. So Troy is the other co-chaplain with Portland Timbers. And Troy came on and started working with Ben as co-chaplain. I think it was around 2014. And then Troy and Ben joined up with Soccer Chaplains United in 2017. And what I love about Troy is Troy's heart. You can tell just by spending a little bit of time with Troy that Troy loves Jesus deeply, and it influences everything that he does, except maybe when he's giving me some grief about fly fishing on a river. But no, just kidding, Troy. Troy's a coach at Warner Pacific University, and he assistant coached with Portland Timbers U23 PDL team for a number of years. Troy played, so when we look at some of the folks in our team, on our squad, Troy's probably played at the highest levels professionally. He played for, I think he was drafted by the Sounders, played for the Timbers, played for Spokane Shadow, played overseas, tried playing in Norway, played in Tajikistan, and kind of helped set up soccer and some federation stuff in Tajikistan. So he's done some really great work. And what I love about Troy is Troy, he's got coach's eyes for things. And, that's just something that, as a former professional player as well, Troy brings these elements and aspects into our team that are really needed. I don't, again, I've said it before, I don't think that you need to be a former pro to be a chaplain, to be a good chaplain, to be, a good lover of people, caring well for people. But you need to know the nuances of soccer football culture. And Troy does those things. He knows those things. What I also love about Troy, too, is we both have Honda Pilots, and we both do a little mileage comparison from time to time. Like, how many hundreds of thousands of miles do you have? And And so we play back and forth a little bit with some of that. And Troy's been out to Colorado a couple of times. I've been out to Portland again with he and Ben doing some fly fishing and going for food and just spending time at games and other places. And Troy's got a great family. He's got 3 boys and his wife. They're all really supportive. He plays guitar as well and just really gifted. He's really gifted as a chaplain, as a pastor, as a leader, as a coach. And it's been cool to get to see and get to know Troy. Troy's raising money through Soccer Chaplains United. He raised a pretty extensive amount through us. So it's been great to partner with him in that way and to see Soccer Chaplains United kind of be a good place for him, for his family, and a good support. Well, next, Chaplain Carlos Alejandro, or Cali, as he likes to be called, as he likes to be known now. Cali's new. Cali's originally from Mexico City. He came to the States in 2011 to kind of work and serve in ministry, and so he's worked for a number of years among youth and mission. And right now, though, he's a volunteer pastor with Venture in Espanol. It's a church plant out of Venture Christian Church. And, Cali has been serving the San Jose Earthquakes as a chaplain. This is a role he started right around 2020, right around the pandemic. And it was kind of weird because maybe it was late 2019, 2020. He starts serving with the team, and then the pandemic kind of shut everything down. And earlier this year, one of the initiatives that was coming nationally was we need to try to get chaplains that aren't connected, aren't affiliated, to affiliate with one of the 5 major chaplaincy sports ministry groups that are out there. And so Cali decided, hey, Soccer Chaplains United seems like a good fit, a good family. Cali's bivocational. He's raising money through us, but he owns an electrical business, and he kind of juggles his business, the church, and these chaplain duties. And I just love the fact that, where Cali's from, as we look to the future, I think that I'm really excited about what he brings to our team, what he brings to our family of chaplains, because he just has some giftings and some heart and passion that I think is just critical for coming around and supporting people in the pro game. A lot of the pro athletes and coaches get stuck into performance, get stuck into identity. And they need people around them without an agenda, people that can realize that, hey, this is a person that just needs to know that they're loved and they're cared for, and Cali's one of those guys. Well, next up, again, probably one of our longest-serving tenured chaplains, Pastor Kurt Schrempert. Kurt was born in Ecuador, in Quito, as a missionary kid. He finished out at Simpson Bible College in California and played soccer there collegiately. Kurt has been a pastor in Colorado Springs for a number of years. He's with Christian Missionary Alliance. And sad to say, Kurt is, sad, good, I don't know, but Kurt is a leader, and he's loved. And so the Christian Missionary Alliance district, the Mid-America district, has said, Kurt, they've been trying to recruit him for years to come up and help with some of the larger picture church kind of stuff. And Kurt has finally answered the call. He's going to be hanging up his pastorate and hanging up his boots, per se, as a soccer chaplain, or at least putting him on the sidelines for a little while as he moves up to Omaha and begins to take on a new work. And so Kurt was our first chaplain to be placed outside of Ben with the Timbers and the guys that I had working with me with Rapids. Kurt was our first chaplain placement in 2015. I had literally just a month or two before left church staff, and we were striking out into figuring out, can we replicate other chaplains with other teams? And really this was a burden and a call that God had put on my heart. And Kurt's the first. Kurt's the first in the United Soccer League's championship division. He was our first chaplain with the Switchbacks, and we're going to be looking for a new chaplain. It's going to be hard to fill the boots that Kurt's left behind. And Kurt also, for years, has had a great beard that he sports. And but I've loved Kurt. He has a great heart for people, a great heart for Jesus, and seeing just sort of these divine moments happen. And so just want to pray a blessing on Kurt as he moves into a new season, a new chapter. moves away from us a little bit, it's going to be hard. I don't like to let go of people, Kurt. So if you're listening, just know it's going to be hard for you to move away from me too far. And we're just looking forward to what God has for him in the future, for CMA, and also for Omaha. Well, next is another new chaplain, Chaplain Mike Richards. Mike is the new chaplain for El Paso Locomotive FC. We had a chaplain for Locomotives down in El Paso right around 2020, 2021, Eric Jimenez, and Eric moved on. I think it was kind of mid-year last year. He moved closer to Dallas, took a different church position. So we were really looking for a right fit. And El Paso is quite unique. There's a relationship they have with FC Juarez, and so you see some players coming back and forth that speak Spanish. So we're like, we're kind of looking for the right person. And I've got a list of maybe 20, 25 pastors and others, chaplains that I looked for and looked through candidates, and we were just praying, God, bring us the right person, and just no one was a fit, and no one seemed to have the time. And it was actually Carlos Alejandro Cali. I just talked about him. Cali was like, hey, you should connect with this guy, this friend of mine, and I'm sure he knows someone in El Paso. And sure enough, this person connected us immediately with Mike. And Mike is the pastor at Vino Nuevo. It's a non-denominational church in El Paso. It's Spanish-speaking. And, Mike's just got this really unique fit as a bilingual person. His wife's from, I think, Finland. And he's been serving in the El Paso area for a number of years. And he's taking on this new role with El Paso Locomotive and just really has a heart, not just for the athletes and the coaches, but for the staff folks. And that's one of the values that we teach and coach to our chaplains is like, hey, you're not just there to serve elite athletes. You're not just there for glam and glory. You're really there to serve the people that work hard and don't get the glory. The people that work hard for the low wage or the no attention. Like, serve them. And Mike's just gotten into this position here in 2023, and he's getting into this mode and rhythm of serving well those people. And I'm looking forward to getting to know Mike more and more. I'm excited by his gifts, his skills, his talents that he brings to the table, and what he brings to the Soccer Chaplains United family. All right, well, moving on, another good friend of mine, I've talked about him already a little bit, Chaplain Billy Cerveny. So Billy's the original Nashville SC chaplain. And, just a little bit of the backstory. So the coach at Nashville SC currently, Gary Smith, we have a long-standing relationship. And when Gary took on the role at Nashville SC, they were looking to jump into MLS in a couple years or a year or two. And so they were in the USL Championship. And I called up Gary and I said, hey, can I find you a chaplain? And Gary was like, hey, why don't you move your family here? And I was like, we don't really move our families for these things. We're all volunteers. But I said, how about I find someone? And so did a number of looking around, investigating, and actually had kind of run through the entire candidate pool, the people that, I kind of knowing Gary really well, knowing Nashville, seeing like where they were going to go, there were just a unique set that we were looking for. And I think it was the Titans chaplain at the time. I'd kind of come to the end of, my circles, my networks. And he said, hey, I think I might know someone that you need to talk to. And sure enough, it was Billy. And I remember sitting across from Billy. We met together before a Nashville game, and just getting to know each other a little bit. And, as Billy shared his heart, his story, I think he started with a line like, yeah, I came to Nashville like a lot of other people. I came with hopes and dreams and a pickup truck and a guitar. And, I did my albums and I cut my records. And I've listened to some of Billy's music. There's one song that just really gets my heart all the time. But Billy's a wonderful guy, and Billy is no longer in Nashville. He moved a number of months ago. I think it was kind of late last year. He moved to Jacksonville, Florida, take care of his parents and kind of be at their side. And Jacksonville's home. It's where he grew up, and so for him, it's a little bit of a homegoing. And Billy's going to be working in Jacksonville. There's a new USL team, an expansion franchise that'll start play here in a year or two, maybe a little bit longer. And Billy's Billy's doing some of the groundwork, some of the foundational work to start to set up a chaplaincy ministry that can kind of be there from the get-go, which is neat because he was the first chaplain for Nashville SC. He saw them go from USL Championship to MLS, so he's been in those transition moments, and he's just a gifted guy. Billy and I are brothers for sure, and sometimes I wish we weren't separated by as many time zones as we are, because Billy is a dear friend, and I just wish we got to spend more face-to-face time together. But he and I have seen through and cared for some of the same people, and we have a deep, deep love for the people God's put in our path. So that's Reverend Billy Cerveny. He's an awesome brother. Well, next I want to talk about Chaplain Gregory Eit, or sometimes it's pronounced 8, but just kind of depends on how well you know Greg. So Greg is a younger brother to me. Greg was a longtime pastor, youth pastor at Advent Presbyterian Church in Memphis. And it's interesting. He works for Memphis 901 FC, and back in the day, Tim Howard is an owner of this team. I think he's a minority owner still, and when Tim was with the Rapids and sort of the story came out that he was going to be investing in a hometown club, I asked Tim, I said, hey Tim, what about us finding a chaplain for Memphis 901 FC? And I think his words were, hey, if they're like you, yeah, I'll give him a shot. And kind words from Tim, and so Greg he's part of my own denomination, and I was sitting in a meeting. I was at a sort of a committee meeting for our church, and there was a guy from Memphis there, and I was sharing about, hey, we're looking for a new chaplain or a chaplain candidate for this team in Memphis, and he goes, you need to ask Greg Eit. And so Greg got introduced through one of his elders at his church. We had a few get-togethers, and I texted Tim Howard, and I was like, hey, Tim, do you mind if I give this guy your number, and you guys can text up a meeting, get a coffee? One coffee meeting later, and Tim's like, yeah, I think this is the guy. And sure enough, Eit's he challenges me in so many ways. He comes with these fresh ideas. Greg started working with the team in 2019. That's when Memphis 901 FC started, and he just immediately interpreted the city, the team culture really well, and started to work toward just being some of the glue that could hold that club together, and just going between the staff and the players and the coaches and the community. Greg, oh man, I hear so many stories about him and not from him that make me go, oh, we made the right choice in 2019. That guy is awesome. The other thing I love about Greg, and I called him my little brother, is that we love to challenge each other on the disc golf course. And I think right now I hold the lead, although Greg would say it's unfair advantage because he's normally played here in Colorado and not in the tightly wooded back in the east. Fairways, but I do have an advantage over Greg, and I'm trying to maintain that. So I've got to pick and choose what moments I'll play against him. But Greg, I love you like a brother, and man, your work with 9OFC just inspires me, and I just love you and care about you. And Greg today is now working for St. Patrick's Presbyterian, and he's just a tremendous brother and friend. Well, next I want to talk about Chaplain Clint Moore. So Clint serves New Mexico United. He's kind of been in this role since 2019, but what's unique is we had a mutual friend that we knew on the coaching staff, and so Clint was kind of just there and available, and for a season, there wasn't anything official. It was just Clint was just there. He was available. And I told him, I said, Clint, sometimes this is how it goes. Like, it can be tough to get an introduction. It can be tough to be official with a team. And Clint kind of persevered through some initial early stage moments that I don't think were easy. And maybe if I were in Clint's shoes, I wouldn't have hung around, because it's hard to see fruit in those years when you're waiting to meet with people. And yeah, Clint met with a couple coaches, a couple players, and he would support them, and he would be at games and different things, but it could be hard. You could get discouraged easily. And what I love about Clint is he's raising his two boys. He's just raising them, not perfectly, but I think right. And he's trying really hard as a dad to to help his sons navigate their gifts. They're gifted footballers. And he's also trying to help them grow up to be men who love Jesus. And so I've been in his home. I've stayed with him. I've seen firsthand kind of his work and love for people. And I'm just, when I see players that go from Colorado Rapids down to New Mexico United, I just know and trust that Clint Moore is going to do an awesome, great job with them. And he's just going to love them as one should. And so that's the thing I love about Clint and about the team that he's assembled. I'm going to talk a little bit more about them. So the next chaplain Jordan Rivera. Jordan's new to Soccer Chaplains United, came in 2023, early 2023. Jordan was born in Quito, Ecuador as well, but native, wasn't missionary. And so by the grace of God, his family's been involved in pastoral ministry down there, and he just felt like this call to come to the U.S. to grow in his education. And so he came and got a bachelor's in theological studies at Rio Grande Bible College in Edinburgh, Texas, and then afterwards moved to Albuquerque. And he's been leading a Spanish-speaking church plant and working just towards establishing a healthy church in the city. And he and his wife, they've got a little one, and for him, he's just learning to be a parent. What I love is Jordan is so young, and yet he loves to just take time to learn writing songs with guitar and connecting with people from different backgrounds. And with his bilingual skills, his multicultural skills, well, I just think Jordan's going to be one of those guys that can connect on different levels with some different people. And I'm excited to see Jordan and the rest of the New Mexico United team kind of flourish and grow into this new season and stage of ministry life for New Mexico United. Well, the next chaplain kind of rounding out the team with New Mexico United. And I think it's a little unfair, like 3 chaplains for this USL championship team, but it's so awesome. Tate is also new this year. And Clint, as he's kind of been going around, he kind of tabbed these 2 guys as guys that could kind of come alongside. And Tate's this guy that just, I think, you meet him and you want to be his friend instantly. So Clint knows Tate from playing soccer together. They play on their lunch breaks during the week. And Tate was actually born and raised in Zimbabwe. And he grew up going to church, coming to faith at a young age. And he tells a story, though, that as a young man, he really found it tough to pursue the Lord. And there was sort of this pressure to be a good Christian on the outside, but inside he was really struggling with stuff going on. And it was in his latter years of high school, he recalls, that a youth pastor kind of took him under his wing and just said, "Hey, Tate, you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to seek Jesus, like, genuinely, authentically." So, after a few years, he moved to Texas. He was studying in radio, TV, and film. And it was while he was there that he just really felt the call to ministry. Got plugged in at church, and then he's now been serving as a pastor of children and families at Desert Springs Church in Albuquerque. And Tate's one of those guys, other than his love of Arsenal and him leading, I think he's still leading in our fantasy Premier League football thing. But besides those things, what I love is that Tate just brings that aspect of being a friend too, being a guy's guy, like just being someone that you feel comfortable to hang with. And I remember when I was passing through ABQ earlier this year and getting to know Tate, it was like, hey, let's grab some food. And I showed up at the wrong restaurant, and I remember coming in and sitting down and just waiting. I was like, hey, am I at the right place? And Tate's like, no, you're at the other one. And so Tate came to me, and then we just hit it off for a couple hours, just having a good sense of food, getting to know each other's stories. And I'm just blessed to see Tate be part of our Soccer Chaplains United team. All right, well, getting into another new chaplain. We've had a lot of new chaplains this year. 2023, 8 new chaplains. Chaplain E.J. Ruiz. E.J. is the volunteer chaplain at Rio Grande Valley Toros FC. what I love about EJ is this. He's the protege. He's been mentored by Isidro Pina. So Isidro was received a different call. He had this new job going on in San Antonio. His family lives up there, and so he's like, Brad, I'm going to be handing off the ministry. And one of the things I coach our chaplains to do is always look for your replacement. As you build out a team, look for guys that can come behind, take on the reins of ministry in the event that God ever calls you onward, or just to bring that other dimension to the team. And so EJ is one of those young guys. He grew up underneath Isidro. Isidro mentored him throughout his college years and even and beyond. And now EJ is working. He recently, just this year, took on a new pastorate at El Messias United Methodist Church in Mission, Texas. And he's been serving for a number of years as a lay minister, both with Isidro and a couple other churches there in the Rio Grande Valley area. EJ served in the military, so this brother is fit. I would not want to get in a push-up contest with him. He loves working out, and he's ordained in the United Methodist Church, and he's been a blessing to come onto our team. And he just kind of followed and picked up right where Isidro left off. Like Isidro introduced him to the staff, to the players, and it's like we didn't miss a beat at all. And that's what I love. It's hard sometimes to make a chaplain handoff. It can be hard for the outgoing chaplain because you're just leaving relationships and people you love. But it's so much easier when you leave those people you love with someone that you can trust. And I see that in EJ and his relationship. And so now EJ becomes a second chaplain to serve the Toros. It's his hometown team. So there's a lot of good things happening with RGV FC, and I'm looking forward to seeing what God does for the years that are to come. So moving on, here's another new chaplain, although he's not really new to our group. Chaplain Robert Briggs, Briggsy as he's known, native of Glasgow, Scotland. He's a pastor at Emmanuel Baptist Church in Sacramento. He works a volunteer chaplain with Sacramento Republic. Now, Sac Republic has some history. They're a USL championship team, but they were slated to go into MLS. And their owner pulled out kind of the last minute, and MLS withdrew their invitation to Sacramento to join. And so heartbreak all around, but Briggsy's been through it all. And growing up in Glasgow, he knows what football's about. And back in, I think it was 2015, 2016, we were looking, who are the chaplains in the league? We're looking to kind of grow and develop out. Kurt had been a placement for us. And so, I'm tooling around on the Sacramento Republic website, and I see this volunteer chaplain. I'm like, who is this guy? No one knows about him. So I literally rang him up. We started this relationship. I've been out twice now to Sacramento when Rapids have played in preseason or U.S. Open Cup games. That's kind of the way, the moments we've been able to share. And Briggsy's had me in his home. He's loved on me. He's cared for me. And I just enjoy this brother. He's solid biblically. He's solid theologically. And he is busy. He is one busy guy. He's not only the pastor of a fairly large church in Sacramento, but he's on a board for this group called 20 Schemes. He also serves the Union Gospel Mission in Sacramento. He's just one of those guys that he sees a need, he sees a gap, and he works to fill it. And he's a Hotspur fan, kind of like my friend Greg Ite, which I try not to hold against them. And they're just glad they're doing well this year, and hopefully they can add something to the dusty trophy cabinet that they have. But Briggsy is a good friend, and I've just loved it. It's taken a while to get him to join us, but that's more due to busyness than anything else. And Briggsy, if you're listening, man, I just love you. I'm glad you are part of Soccer Chaplains United nowadays. Well, moving on, and we're moving now. So we've been talking about chaplains in the USL Championship. We're going to get in now to some different leagues, and I want to talk about Jonathan Hyde. So Jonathan, interesting story to Jonathan. Jonathan serves Chattanooga FC. One of our board members is the coach there, Rod Underwood, and Rod's been serving there for a couple years now. And I've asked Rod from time to time, hey, is Chattanooga ready for a chaplain? There's some history. Chattanooga FC had someone there serving as a chaplain who broke some rules, broke some of the things that we would say are professional boundaries and standards. just kind of taking advantage of a position. And so there was a little bit of we don't want a chaplain. And I thought, oh man, what a challenge. I've got a board member, coach of a team, and we can't even put a chaplain here. This is a challenge. But I've been down to Chattanooga a couple times, met with some of the folks there at the club. They've got a great vision. They're really connected in the community, and it's really beautiful what they're doing. And so, at some point this year, I was talking to Rod again, just like, hey, how about I have you meet this guy? So Jonathan came to us in 2019. We were thinking about placing a chaplain with the other Chattanooga team, Red Wolves, their USL 1 team. And Jonathan, at the time, I knew the coach. And so I'd asked the coach, and hey, can we try and place a chaplain? He said, sure, who you got? And Jonathan came to us. He went through our process. But the coach didn't want it at the time for whatever reason. He just, no, I don't think we want a chaplain right now. And so, things kind of shut down with that. And Jonathan, it was kind of this year, and I was just like, let me close this loose end. Let me call up Jonathan. CFC's maybe ready now for a chaplain. Is Jonathan ready to give it a go again? And sure enough, like, it's a thing about timing sometimes with these guys and the teams that we're trying to serve, but God kind of opened this door. And Jonathan met with Rod, and there was a process of meeting with coach and assistant coaches and people at the club. But Jonathan's one of those guys. He has an MDiv from Baylor, knew Ben Dudley. In fact, I think Ben kind of had connected us or introduced us. And so Jonathan is now serving as a volunteer chaplain for CFC. And it's really exciting because getting to see Jonathan walk and love on his own family and take those things he's learned in ministry and with his own family and put those into the club, I think just makes Jonathan a great fit for Chattanooga FC. And I'm excited to see what God does for the ministry, for the team there. And what that team's doing in the city and then the culture is just amazing. All right, well, the next chaplain, if you've been listening thus far, man, maybe we need a break. Should we put in some commercials here or something? I don't know. I'm going to talk about this next guy, and I love him, Chaplain Kevin Hasnack. So Kevin and I work really closely together, and that's because he's working with Rapids 2. So Rapids 2, if you don't know, is part of MLS Next Pro. MLS Next Pro is all these MLS clubs now, first division. All of them now have these third division teams that play in their own separate leagues. So this is a development. It's part of the player pathway. And so as a Rapids, we're kind of forming this out for 2022. I was like, I need another chaplain. I need someone that can come in and serve this group of people because there's just too many people for me to, I'd be spread thin. I wouldn't be home at all. I wouldn't be able to lead Soccer Chaplains United. So Kevin's come on. He starts in 2022 just as a team starting. He's from New Mexico. In fact, he was led to the Lord by Clint Moore, our chaplain down with New Mexico United. It's amazing. They were roommates in college together. And so Clint he'd been roommates with Kevin, and it's just like, hey, Kev, let me share with you about Jesus. And so it's, oh, man, I love the way God works. I love how tight-knit the community, the family is sometimes. And so Kevin been coming to Rapids games. I kind of knew of him. I'd kind of seen him around. He had developed a friendship with one of the players, Michael Azira. He'd been part of the Rapids team. And Michael started going to his church. Kevin's a pastor of Calvary Wellspring in Aurora, Colorado. And his church is really intentional about being in the community and like trying to serve and love them well. And so, as this Rapids 2 opportunity is coming up, and I went through a list of a couple people, but kind of kept coming back to Kevin. And so there was a little bit of a worry, like, man, is Kevin going to be too much of a fanboy to have as a chaplain? That can do damage sometimes. If someone's too much a fan, they're not realizing that they need to be a pastor first. And that once you get into this game, it seems glorious, but there's some dark sides to it. There's some tough stuff that you walk people through and you have to walk with. And so Kevin got in. I remember he did an interview process with us. I had myself, a couple board members there in a meeting, and we just felt like, yeah, Kevin's a solid guy, and Kevin's going to bring something of loving people. And what's been neat is to see Kevin grow in his love for the team and the club. And there's more and more ways that we're partnering together. We do a front office Bible study together. We do a combined Rapids 1 and Rapids 2 Bible study together. We're constantly thinking through and feedback to each other, like, hey, how can we get better? How can we improve? How can we grow in these areas? And we just love serving the Rapids organization and cheering them on. And so Rapids 2 are in the playoff contention still for MLS Next Pro, and they could go all the way. There's 2 games left, so we're excited to see that happen. As those games will probably happen at Dick's Sporting Goods Park if the team can keep winning the next couple weekends. So that's Chaplain Kevin Hasnack, and you should go to our website, check out his bio. Great guy to get to know. Now, I'm going to talk about this next guy. He's also MLS Next Pro, and again, I talked about Greg Ida a little bit as a younger brother. Jubal McDaniel's a younger brother too. This is a guy pushes me. Now, he is not very good at disc golf. I'll just say that from the outset. And Jubal, I don't mean anything by that. I just want you, maybe you and Greg Ida get together, you work on your game a little bit more so you can really take me on. But Jubal's a brother. And, man, I love working with this guy. So Jubal's the guy we call constantly. We're talking, Jubal's like, hey, Brad, what about this idea? Brad, what if I try this? Or Brad, what if we did this? Or what if Soccer Chaplains United? And there's just this wealth of knowledge. There's this sense and work with us as we're working together to kind of make our chaplaincy and our service to these clubs better. And Jubal's the guy. Now, to be honest, and Jubal, I don't know if I've ever said this, but I'm going public now. I'm saying it now. Jubal was not our first choice. He did not check the boxes. But when we got into the interview process, we saw his heart. And he didn't meet the qualifications education-wise and in a few other areas. But Jubal raised his hand, and he goes, you know what? I really want to do this, and I will go the extra mile. And this guy has. Literally, he went back to school and did his master's work and through Liberty. And he's been growing in his understanding of chaplaincy and his execution of it. And there's moments we'll be on a call together. I went out a couple years ago to spend some time in Tacoma with him, and we played disc golf for sure. He nearly fell in the river. There's some video out there somewhere, maybe on Facebook or elsewhere, where he's throwing from river's edge. But man, Jubal's just a brother, and he loves his family. That's what I love. And one thing is, when you see a person, when you're invited in their home and you see how they work and love with their family, it gives you a good insight into how they're going to serve and love others too. So, man, Jubal's been a blessing. He used to be brewing and roasting his own coffee. I don't think he has time for that anymore. But the times that we've been out there, and the only thing I got against him, is he's a Sounders fan, which he kind of has to be. So I kind of try not to hold that against him. He's an Evertonian, so usually he's been the kicking dog for our fantasy Premier League jokes and stuff. But Jubal's another great guy to love, another brother in ministry. And let me just pause for a minute and just say that I am so privileged. If you work for a church, right, like you have staff members and you have people you work with, and sometimes you get along with some of them, sometimes you don't. And I would just say that looking through this list and these faces, these names, man, this is like, I get to work with the awesomest staff in the world. Now, I don't get to see them every day. I don't get to spend time with them like you do on a church staff. But I think back to 2015, leaving the church, one of the things that was hard and sad for me was the day-to-day. But I get these people, and God has blessed me with them. And I'm just excited and excited to see the growth, to see the new people that come along, because I know they're going to teach me. I know they're going to grow me. And one of the next guys is Chaplain Felipe Olavarria. Now Felipe was he shadowed Kurt Trempert with Switchbacks. So Felipe was doing an internship down in Colorado Springs with Christian Missionary Alliance, and Kurt's telling me, like, hey, I got this guy. He could be a great bilingual chaplain, helping me with ministry. And then the pandemic kind of came and shut some things down. Felipe moves to Omaha, starts working there. And one of the things that, as we were, I've been praying and seeing different people move about the league, Union Omaha has been one of those teams that we've got, there's people that we know and care about there, but we just couldn't find a chaplain candidate. We'd have pastors and others, and they're like, no, sorry, Brad, I'm too busy, or sorry, yeah, that doesn't really, I can't really do that. And so God kind of moved Felipe and his family to Omaha, I think. And Kurt, earlier this year, he's like, hey, I got someone in Omaha. And finally I was like, Kurt, you got to tell me who this guy is, because we need to start moving on Omaha, and we need to play someone. So Felipe's come to us. He's one of our newest chaplains. We just introduced him a couple weeks ago. He's associate pastor at the CMA Church in Millard, Nebraska. He's working kind of part-time there, part-time in a coffee shop. He's going to be raising money through us. If there's a guy to get behind and support, and there's a number of them, you can go onto our donation page and see who's needing support. Jubal's a guy that needs support. That Felipe is another one of those guys. And he and his wife have a beautiful daughter, and he loves rooting for Creighton University basketball team. Felipe actually played semi-pro in Chile. And this is what I love. Felipe is from Chile, so he's our third Chilean chaplain. And, Elias Burgos and Ricardo, who I'll talk about a little bit later, both those guys are from Chile, and I just know people from Chile are a blessing to me. If there's one South American country I want to visit, before I die, is Chile. And, we could get into some arguments about, Chile versus Argentina, but I love my Chilean brothers, and Felipe's story is amazing to me. You should go on our website, check out his bio, support him if you can. And there's just some good things happening. He's fluent in Spanish and English, speaks a little bit of Portuguese, or has some understanding. He also was studying in the culinary arts. So, Felipe, I'm thinking for one of our retreats or meetings, man, you need to be in charge of the food. And we'll see. Felipe is from Santiago, and I'm just excited. He and his wife have a call to go back to Chile, and I'm thinking expansion. So whenever God moves that, maybe Soccer Chaplains United will grow down into South America. So, Felipe, welcome to the team. Glad to have you. It's just a privilege and a blessing, and I know God's going to do great things in your time in Omaha and beyond. All right, so getting into now we've kind of moved through Union Omaha, USL League 1. USL League 2, our chaplain that we have there, Chaplain Josh Bailey. Josh is in West Virginia. And in the West Virginia has a USL 2 team. So let me tell you about USL 2 real quick. These are essentially college players. They come in and play 20, 24 games or something over 2-3 months. They make no money because they have to keep college eligibility. And so they get a little meal stipend. They travel a lot. They maybe get a little bit of housing. And Josh reached out. I forget when it was. He's been part of our group. He just came working for us this year, I think. And Josh reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey, there's no pro teams by me, but we have this USL 2 team, and soccer's getting to be really big. Near where I live, Charleston." State capital, West Virginia. And so he's serving there as a pastor at Covenant Church, as a PCA church. And for years, Josh has been teaching in high school, middle school, elementary school, and he was helping students. And so he's really good with young people. And he's got a great family. I haven't met them yet. Josh is one of those guys, but that I still need to get out to and visit and see. But what I love about Josh is that, talk about perseverance. It is not easy to serve a team that literally plays for 3 months. There's some staff that are working throughout the year, but literally play for 3 months and then they're out. And Josh is that guy. And Josh has cultivated some relationships. He's building and working on things there in West Virginia. And I'm just excited to have Josh as part of the team. And, I feel like someday we got to have this big reunion and get all these people together that some of them, I've spent phone time and Zoom time with. Some of them I've traveled to and spent longer periods of time, but Josh is one of those guys that I definitely need to spend some time with in the next year or so. Well, let me talk next about Chaplain Michael Kell. So Michael came to us, and Michael's unique. Let me just say this. And Michael, if you're listening, man, I love you, brother. Michael is a jokester. He's a prankster in some ways. In fact, it's probably good that there's a little bit of separation to us because we might get in trouble. His son just committed to Liberty University. His daughter is there as a worship leader. And I know this because all of Michael's Facebook feed, if you see, are about his kids. His son plays for LAFC Academy. And so Michael came to us and he's like, hey, tell me more about this chaplaincy bit. And, I'm kind of like the de facto academy chaplain. Like the parents know I'm a pastor. He works for the North American Mission Board. He's a kind of a church planting coach, pastor kind of guy. So he's supporting others as they plant churches. And so Michael's kind of serving. He's been serving with us since last year. And I remember running into Michael. There's been a couple times where we've interacted. One was at a Rapids game at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. LAFC Academy boys were in to play our Academy boys, and he was at a game. And so we just sat for a while and talked about what chaplaincy looks like and some of the challenges that happen at the academy level. And so it's been really neat to see Michael growing in the work that he does. So Michael takes a lot of photographs of the team, and so a lot of the parents come to him and they just, they offload and unload some of the things that are, struggles with their kids or the struggles that this pro player pathway and how challenging it is. And it's been neat to see Michael kind of be the sort of ad hoc, unofficial academy chaplain and kind of serve. It's great too. We're both Manchester United fans, which, yeah, we're struggling this year for sure. But it's great to have that kinship with him and to see Michael and the different things he's bringing to the Soccer Chaplains United team. Whew. Well, we're getting on here. We got a few more chaplains to go, so I'm gonna speed things up here a little bit. Again, just talking about some people that I love, and I think sometimes, and now some of the people, as we talk about them, we're getting away from the pro game. We're getting into some other spaces, and these people that I'm going to talk about next in this next little bit are people who really sacrifice, I think, because there is no glory. There is no glory in the work that they do. No one's calling them up and saying, hey, can I get some tickets? Or, hey, I'd love to get something for the game. Or, oh, you're the chaplain for this? Oh, that's amazing. They don't get that at all. And Chaplain Jordan Meadis is one of those guys. He's now working for a new youth club, and he's serving All In Elite Soccer Academy in Gordonsville, Virginia. Jordan's been he lives in Orange County, so he's been a pastor for a long time at Lake of the Woods Church, and been serving that church for maybe going on 6-7 years now. And now Jordan too, he's musical, gifted. He was a bass player for Carbon Leaf, if you've heard of that band. They got an American Music Award in 2002, and he's taught music in the public schools, and but this is one of those guys working. He's gone through seminary. He's been pastoring. He's the guy that when I throw up opportunities to further sports chaplaincy education, he's one of the first guys to jump to it. And he's just been one of those guys that he doesn't need the glory. He just wants to serve and love people. And so he's been serving several of the youth clubs and several high school teams. And he's just one of these guys that, as a pastor, as someone in the community, you love him. Now, he's a Liverpool fan, so you got to get over some of that. But Jordan is one of those guys. He actually wrote and contributed for our 2022 World Cup devotional book. He wrote one of the series that we have in there. And so if you pick up a copy of that, you find that on Amazon. We're going to be doing a revision here soon. But Jordan he writes from the heart, and his love for people and love of Jesus is evident. And he's just one of those guys that, you're in hospital, you're struggling, you're going through something, and there's a call at 2 a.m., like Jordan's the guy. Jordan's the guy to be there for you and to help support and love you through the midst of that difficult thing that you're working and walking through. Well, next up, probably the most unique chaplain amongst our group. First, she's our only female chaplain currently. Chaplain Kimberly Beach. She's known as Miss Kim, so if you heard me stumble there with my words a little bit, it's because I'm not used to saying Chaplain Kimberly Beach. She's Miss Kim. And Miss Kim is so wonderful to us. Now, here's what's unique about her. She came to us a number of years ago, and she was working for Trinity International University. And she came and she's like, hey, I kind of figured I'm kind of the team chaplain at Trinity, and I kind of needed, I don't know, some accountability, a group. And we said, oh, okay, great. Tell us more about Trinity and the work you're doing there. And she's like, well, Trinity men's soccer program. And I'm like, what? How does this work? How does having a female in the locker room work for this men's program? And so, at first I was like, I don't think this works. But we said, hold on, let's hear the story. And so Kim shared the story. Her son played for the program, and the coach saw the way that she was just kind of team mom to everyone. I mean, people would come in. She would have them over for a meal at her home. She would help out with guys that weren't from the U.S. She kind of created this home environment and cared well for them, and was always reflecting Jesus and talking about Jesus to them. And so the coach actually approached her and said, hey, would you consider being our team chaplain? And Kim's like, well, I guess, here I am. I'm kind of already doing these things. What is it? And so, she's known as Miss Kim wherever she goes. And, actually we found out kind of late last year, early this year, that Trinity was going to shut down their programs. So their athletic programs, undergraduate was going to go away. They were just going to keep the graduate part of their program. And so all their athletic programs were shuttered. And Kim, unfortunately, had to kind of take some of that news to people. She had a great relationship with the administration of the school and with the sporting staff. And so Kim is just one of those people who, she has seen and done some things that you just can't write. I mean, someone needs to write a story about her life. She was mayor of a town. I forget which town it was. I think it was in Oklahoma somewhere. And she's just this uniquely gifted person, and she's always striving to grow in her understanding of chaplaincy and her execution of it. And today she's moved to Indiana this year. And she's starting to work with a high school team there. And she's still just being team mom. She's being Miss Kim to so many people. And this is what I love about Kim. She uses her gifts of teaching, discernment, hospitality, and she's just caring for people. And she cares well for them. And it comes from a personal place, like pain that she's had to go through and moments. And she's just kind of just understood God's call in her life all these years. And it's been great to see her become part of Soccer Chaplains United and just kind of add into our group in a way that no one else does. And we really hope that we can grow into the women's side of the game here in the future. We want to grow our women's core of chaplaincy. It's really hard. Some of our standards are high, and not everybody meets those. And we need to figure out ways, I think, to not create really burdensome, difficult things. But Kim's been one of those people that just rises to the occasion time and time again. All right. Well, now I'm going to get into talking about some people that currently aren't directly serving a particular team. They're sort of supporting as chaplains, and they have unique roles. The first one I want to talk about, Chaplain Ricardo Orellana. Ricardo is our other Chilean chaplain who's still on the team. Ricky, as he's known, Dr. Ricardo Orellana. Ricky helped for so many years with my Spanish-speaking needs here with Rapids. And God called him away from hospice. We worked together for a little bit, Hospice of St. John back in the day. And Ricky and I worked together, and then he came over and was helping me with Rapids and the Spanish-speaking needs that we had there. And he moved to New Jersey, though. I think it was right around 2013. He'd been working with us for, I think, 3, 4, 5 years. And he moved in 2013, though, to New Jersey. And I was like, Ricky, I really don't want to lose you. Because the thing about Ricky that is powerful, besides his ability to translate, to understand culture, his education, Ricky is a prayer warrior. Like, I know Ricky's one of those guys that you tell him, hey, would you be on your knees about this? And Ricky probably needs knee surgery because he spends the time on his knees praying about the things that are vital for ministry, for life, for family. He gets it. Ricky came to Christ when he was young. He was like 14. So he gets what it is coming in those sort of teen years. And he studied kind of growing up as I found a lot of Chilean guys do. They're studying something else and God calls them to ministry. And so it's been neat to see Ricky. Ricky one time gave me several of his books from his own library and just said, hey, Brad, these things have helped me in ministry, and I believe they'll help you. And Ricky's been a great support, a great encouragement. And I think he's going on 15 years of serving now. He started in 2009 working with us with Soccer Chaplains United. And Ricky's just a brother. Ricky's a brother to me. He's been like a father in many ways. And I've enjoyed working with him and seeing him, at a distance. Like I keep saying, Ricky, you got to come back to Colorado. But I think it's too cold here. And soon he's going to leave New Jersey for Florida shores. I'm pretty sure of it. But Ricky is just one of those guys that if you can get to know him, you will be blessed. And he leads a church, a congregation in New Jersey. He's on Facebook a lot, leading worship with guitar. And he and I learned guitar kind of together, so we share some great memories. And he's just been a blessing to me for many years. And Ricky, you got to know that. I love you, man. All right. Well, moving on, here's one of our newer chaplains who's a translator, works with us in the Pacific Northwest, Chaplain Thiago Souza. Thiago was born in Brazil, and Thiago came to us via Jubal. So Jubal and I were talking. I'm telling Jubal, hey, bro, one of the things you need to grow is you need to grow the team that serves bilingually. Serves the players. And so Thiago, he had known of Thiago for a little while now, and Thiago had been at Liberty, has a Master of Arts in Religion and Leadership, and he's like, Brad, I think Thiago can be a great part of our team. Thiago does design work for churches in the Pacific Northwest. And what I love about Thiago, and there's some video footage out there, I think. Jubal and I are playing disc golf, and Thiago's playing with us. Or at least he was walking with us. Thiago kept throwing his discs, and he didn't throw them into the river, fortunately. But we had trouble finding his discs in the forest. And it was amazing where we were playing that we came away with all of our discs. But Thiago, man, credit to you for hanging with us for that. But what I love about Thiago is there are several Brazilian now, more increasingly Brazilian Portuguese speakers that are playing in the league. And one thing that I will do is I will often write a prayer or a devotional or a meditation for the players on my team. And I will send to Thiago and be like, hey, do you mind translating this and like speaking it? I can speak some Spanish. So usually for the Spanish speakers, I will have someone overlook my translations, but I will fumble through the Spanish. Portuguese, I can't do it all. So I will call up Thiago. I'll send him a translation. I'll even send him in the English. I'll say, hey, here's the prayer, or here's the thing, so that you can kind of figure out the tone and the cadence that I'm saying things. And there's Thiago. He turns around. He's giving these prayers back in Portuguese to the players. He's available to meet with them via Zoom. And I just love that Thiago, in addition to his service to the church and his abilities to design things graphically and have an eye, that he's willing to be part of our team. And he doesn't get much glory, he doesn't get much credit, but Thiago single-handedly helped to translate our 2022 World Cup devotional book into Portuguese. And it was a massive task, a massive labor of love. And Thiago, I know I didn't appreciate you enough, and I apologize for that. You were a blessing to us, and I just got to say, if you need someone to be on your team, Thiago is the guy. He's the guy that he'll go the extra mile for you. And Thiago, I know God's going to bless you for the work and the service you've done for Soccer Chaplains United and the athletes and the coaches and the people that we serve. And the time is coming, my friend. The time is coming. All right. Next, I want to talk about another long-standing chaplain with us, Chaplain Cesar Duran. Cesar is from Mexico. Cesar served with me after Ricky left in 2013. I needed another bilingual chaplain to serve alongside of me. And Cesar had come to us, I think through a recommendation. Maybe it was through Elias Burgos, one of our earlier chaplains. And Cesar just started working. And one of his favorite things is he would go for tacos. He would go for tacos with some of the players and just listen to life. And it didn't matter if they were Spanish speaking or English speaking, but he would be there in moments for me and come alongside. And I love that Cesar, from time to time, he would take soccer gear back across the border to Mexico, where he's from, Piedras Negras, and he would just love on the people in there. Cesar right now is in Nebraska. He still is ordained pastor with United Methodist Church, and he's working there in Nebraska with one of the churches. And Cesar worked to help translate our 2022 World Cup devotional into Spanish. So he worked alongside Cedro. I'll talk about Cedro here in a second. He worked alongside him to translate for us. And, Cesar is one of those guys. He's a Club America fan. So it's okay. I haven't decided which team in Mexico I will follow. I have many friends that love Club America, and Cesar is one of them. He always reminds me of it. He is always, whenever he shows up for a Zoom, he's wearing his Club America jerseys if he's not wearing Rapids jerseys. And the thing that Cesar will raise his hand and help support. He will be the guy that, when we are testing a bilingual candidate, he will ask questions in Spanish. He is constantly helping and serving Soccer Chaplains United still, even after years. So I forget when he went down to Texas to do some work at a church down near there. And Cesar introduced us to Isidro, which I'll talk about him again in a second. But Cesar's an introducer, and he's been a blessing to us. So again, I think he worked with us 2016, 2017, into 2018. And before he went to Laredo. And then, he's just been a blessing, and he's a good brother. It's been too long since we had tacos, but we will get some tacos when we get together again soon. All right. Well, next I want to talk about Chaplain Greg Nowitzki. So Greg is one of our younger guys. Greg's currently on the sidelines a little bit right now. Greg just got married a year ago, just is having a baby here really soon. And what I love is Greg came behind me in serving Valor Christian High School. So a number of years ago, I served Valor Christian High School as a volunteer chaplain for like 7 years. So, I found between the Rapids, Valor, and then trying to lead Soccer Chaplains United, it was just too much for me. And I told my dear friend Brian Schultz, I said, hey buddy, I can't do all this. Like, too many names to remember. I can't do this well. Let me try to find someone that can be a chaplain. And so Greg Nowitzki came behind me and served for a couple of years, tough years too, during COVID, 2020, 2021. He served Valor Christian High School. Greg, he's also a Liverpool supporter, so forgive him for that. But he gets a little bit more grace from me because he actually trialed with Liverpool's academy. And he had actually played at Trinity International. He grew up in the Chicago area. And he first started at Loras College in Iowa, but he eventually, the call of God was strong on his heart, and he ended up playing for TIU, and has gone on since then to Denver Seminary. We almost crossed paths at Cherry Hills. I think I had just left, but he was coached there. He was young student ministries pastor at Cherry Hills Community Church, where I used to be on staff. And so there were these crossing moments, and I got introduced to Greg. And I remember I had his number in my phone for a while, and I was thinking about this Valor vacancy that was going on. I was like, who could do this? And I thought of Greg, and it was funny. I think I had called him, and he's like, brother, you would not believe, but I just drove past Valor, and I was praying to God, like, God, would there be a way to like serve or work with this school? And that if you don't know, that the school's right across from the church, and so it was just kind of a God thing. And so Greg's kind of taking a step back now for a season, and I just imagine re-engaging Greg at a later point. Greg does some amazing work for us still. He kind of consults with us on several different cultural kind of issues that are going on, and really helping us speak into the youth and the other aspects of the game as he's familiar with and as he understands. So really blessed to have Greg Nowitzki as a friend, as a colleague, as a co-laborer, and he's just a great part of Soccer Chaplains United. And again, can you pick your own staff? I don't know, but God just has led some wonderful people into working with Soccer Chaplains United. And one of the next people I want to talk about is Reverend Isidro Pina. Isidro is one of those guys. I remember that. So Cesar had introduced us. I'm talking with Isidro, and he's like, okay, maybe I'll do this work with the team. He was the first chaplain of Rio Grande Valley Toros. And I remember I had been in Colorado. I'd driven down to Colorado Springs to meet with the Toros coach before they played the Switchbacks. And I asked him, I said, hey, would you be okay if I introduce you to this guy? He can serve as a chaplain. I know he will care for the players, for you, for your staff. And the coach was like, okay, yeah, I'll try it. I'll see this guy. Well, Isidro goes, he visits the team. He's in the locker room. He calls me right after. He goes, Brad, these guys are so young. Isidro was surprised. He was surprised at the level. These are young guys trying to get higher up in the pro game, or they're playing out. They're playing for their lives. Their dreams that they want to play for. And Isidro is there as a pastor in the area, and he really, I think, Isidro is one of those guys who I think has found the fountain of youth. So when I came into Isidro, when we got to know each other, he had, I think, just started, or he was in the midst of doing some marathon running and doing some working out. And I mean, talk about a fit guy that is older than me, and now he's riding motorcycles. And Isidro this year moved to San Antonio, and I could tell, I hate the phone call you get when the guy's like, hey, God's calling me on, moving on. Those are hard. But Isidro goes, Brad, it's okay, because I think I know someone who can take my place. And I've been talking with this guy, and I think he's a guy to replace me. And that's EJ. I talked about him a while ago now, but Isidro's one of those guys. I love his heart, because he doesn't hold anything selfishly for himself. He could have, but he doesn't. And he has his view towards caring for people. Isidro came out one year for a retreat with us. And I remember we went up to a retreat in Fairplay, Colorado. And we were crossing the Continental Divide, and we're up on top of this pass, mountain pass, as we're going through this pass. And we stop for a moment. And as we stop at this overlook, and we're looking down into this beautiful, beautiful valley in Colorado, and Isidro was like, hey, brother, I am cold. I'm from Texas. We do not, and from Mexico, we do not have the clothing to live here and survive here. But we stood there for a moment and appreciating the beauty. And I think back to that moment with Isidro, and I think, God, what a beautiful man that you brought into ministry to work and to love these people. And he loved them with all of his heart, taking them for a coffee, taking them for a meal, walking through with some of these guys through tears and through different life stages. Isidro has been like that father. Maybe in some ways he has felt like grandfather, but he has been that kind of fatherly figure that you want to go to when you don't have a father. And that's something I don't think we realize many times in football, is that, a lot of these guys that we work with, and again, Soccer Chaplains United right now, all of our team right now are men's teams, boys teams, guys teams. Sometimes you lose sight of the Father. And I'm speaking of the Heavenly Father, because you're playing the game, you're away from church and faith community. Your coach, yes, can be like a father figure, but then in that time when the coach says, sorry, I'm not renewing you, or I'm not going to play you, or we are done, your perception, your feeling, your relationship of coach can really be hurt. Or I mean, a father, your relationship of, the coach sometimes becomes a surrogate substitute father. But the coaching relationship has to keep in mind that the ideas of the team or the club ahead of the individual. And so that's where I love Isidro stepping in. He's like the father who loves. And I see in him reflected God the Father and the way that he is loved so well. And if you see him or you know him on Facebook too, he loves his grandson so much, and his children. Like, he just loves on them so well. And he also loves Spider-Man. So you might see him opening his vestments one day and see the Spider-Man outfit underneath. And he is truly, in many ways, a great defender, a great advocate, a great chaplain. And I'm glad Isidro is still with us working. He's going to be developing some things, hopefully in San Antonio area, and stay part of Soccer Chaplains United. Well, last but certainly not least, Ryan Doyle. So Ryan, let me talk about Ryan a little bit. Ryan has served for a number of years as chaplain to Christ Presbyterian Academy Boys Soccer. And he started in 2019 serving this team. And he's been a church planter. He's with the PCA. Ryan holds some coaching badges. He's coached with Christ Presbyterian. And round about the time that Ryan and I got to know each other, so Ryan and I met right around the time that we were placing Billy for Nashville SC. And I was in the Nashville area, and I was talking to a few people, and Ryan, we got to talking, and he's like, "What about chaplaincy for this high school team?" And again, high school chaplaincy is not glorious, it's not glamorous, but there's a need there. Coaches again make playing time decisions, and they make all sorts of decisions. You can be cut in certain programs. There's just different things that go on. The chaplain can come alongside, though, and show love and care and support and direct guys in different moments differently than a coach can. And Ryan was just willing for a number of years to just walk alongside and serve the team. He's taken a step back right now. He's got some in college. He and his wife, they've got a busy house, and he's busy in leading and teaching and doing all the things that he's doing. But Ryan, man, he's had a servant's heart, and he loves people well. And I've just loved that Ryan has been a part of Soccer Chaplains United for so long. And there's a ton of things that Ryan offers to our team, just with his education and some of the things that he's studied and learned and grown in. I know that he's challenged me too in his heart. He's led a lot of mission trips to Uganda. He and his wife have adopted, and there's just some beautiful things about Ryan. You should go on our website and check him out and see the work that he's doing and see how he's just loved people for so long, for so well. Well, here we are. End of the podcast. This might be the longest podcast ever. I love these people. Like, if you haven't gotten a sense of it, and I know some more than I know others. I know some better than I know others. But there's a part of me that sees in them their willingness to sacrifice something. To sacrifice something for people who, at the end of the day, don't appreciate it. They may not even know it. They might not even realize it or care about it, except in the moment that they need it. And as I look through these different names and these people, the time they give up, the time they spend away from their work, their ministries, their churches, their families, the extra that they give without very little compensation, like none. They're all volunteers. Very little credit. I mean, I try to honor them as best as I can, but I'm limited in my own resources. I mean, if I could, I would gift these people with so many things just to say thank you. And if you're still listening now, like, I'd be amazed if you are, but this is just from my heart. And back when I set out to do this work, really what I felt God saying was, find people like you. Find people like yourself, Brad, that care for and will love people for the long run, the long haul. Eugene Peterson has this phrase in one of his books. He writes about a long obedience in the same direction. And as I was leaving church and staff ministry and stepping into this leap of faith of ministry and raising funds and leading what is today Soccer Chaplains United, I didn't know how it would go. And I didn't even know finding other people, would I be able to find them? My own networks are small. Like, I don't know so many people. I'm not the most well-connected, but God has brought each of these people to the team. And we all have a standard, a code of conduct we agree to. We have a statement of faith we abide by. And we're aimed toward and working together to serve and love and care well for the people of soccer. I tell my people all the time, we're not just about athletes in the locker room. We're not just about coaches with pro teams. We're not just about the people of glitz and glam and glory. When you get into these clubs, when you get into these teams, like look for the people that aren't seen. The part-time security guard who may have need of you. The fan who doesn't even know faith or religion, or the person that doesn't get these things. Can we serve them well? Can we love on them too? And I've learned a lot through the years, and one of my mentors, John Boyers, he used to be the chaplain for Manchester United Football Club overseas. He told me this, and this is a quote that's on our website. He said, Brad, when a club chaplain, they're vitally important. And there are the superstar players that we work with. There are the people that get the glory, but it's about the people in the tea room. It's about the part-time cleaner. And when those challenges and crises of life hit hard, and when the big questions of life, the faith questions, loom large, it's really that chaplain who can be there pastorally and spiritually. That's a great gift and a tremendous blessing that you can give. So this month is October, Pastoral Ministry Appreciation Month. And I just want to encourage you, maybe you've been listening to the podcast for a while. Maybe you've followed Soccer Chaplains United. Maybe you've been blessed or touched by one of these folks. Get behind them. There's ways to get behind them. Yeah, through Soccer Chaplains United, we've got chaplains you can support. They need financial support. We're not asking anything from these clubs financially. We might get tickets. We might get a credential that help us do our job well. Might get a parking pass from time to time, but literally some of these chaplains are spending, $20 a game to park at the stadium, to walk in and just reflect the love and light of Christ back to someone. You can get behind someone today. If you see those chaplains that are part of, we name our different funds after the chaplains and the ministries and the towns and teams they're serving. If you're giving into the general fund, you're going in to support myself and the work that I do in supporting these others. And some of them have different needs, to be honest. Some of their churches are behind them and saying like, hey, use the coffee budget for taking someone out. Hey, we'll give you 5 hours a week to go spend time with the team. But not everybody's getting that. And sometimes the chaplains need a little bit more support outside the church. And that's really where I see my role. I see my job in supporting them. Because there's different issues and things that come up. There's people that don't have the same level and layer of support coming out of church staff ministry. And so I really see that as part of my work, week in and week out, day in and day out, is to support, be on call for these people when they go through situations they've never faced. And our group is good and tight, and we support and love and encourage each other. But I just want to encourage you, maybe today you've been listening and you go, man, this is a good work that people are doing. And I believe it. I would be doing otherwise. I'd be looking for a job right now on church.com or something if I didn't believe in this. It is a challenge, and every one of these people is making a sacrifice. And I just want to encourage and exhort you, get behind them, love them, show them the support and the honor that they are due. And everyone, if you're still listening, man, I am blessed to work with you as part of our chaplain team. Well, hey, that's it from me. Tune in next week. Next time, we're going to have a little bit of a preview of USL Championship playoffs coming up. But what a blessing to be with you today. God bless. It's Rev Brad coming to you from the touchline.